whether it is government or big corporations or small businesses or individuals or families and stuff. Yeah. So it is really using your imagination to solve problems. That is creativity in a nutshell.
Yeah. Let me take you a little bit back, David. You know, growing up, you obviously went through a traditional, educational system that we all go through in Uganda or in Africa, in most part of Africa.
Yeah.
But I want to just take you through a little bit. What is your background like?
In terms of education?
Yes.
I am an engineer by training or by education.
Yes. How did you become an engineer? Growing up, did you always see yourself as becoming one? How did you end up there?
I sort of gravitated more towards machines, objects, electronics and stuff. So naturally I leaned towards the engineering bit of it. I was fascinated by tech by the age of, let's say 12 years. And I grew up close to, like I said, my dad used to work in a textile industry, and sometimes I would have free tours to the factory. It's really huge. Like, it is, I think, one of the biggest industries in East Africa.
Yeah.
So I would move around. It's like, I don't know, maybe 5 football pitches. Yeah, so you move around, you see machines doing lots of, fancy things and all. So I was really fascinated from an early age to admire and to love engineering. Yes.
Okay. It is a creative industry talk. My name is Eddie Okila and welcome to the program. This is House of Talent Television, where we bring you issues that affect the person, the common person, every single day, and we discuss it, dissect, and find answers to it. The Creative Industry Talk is a program that brings together the creative brains, a platform for every one of us to be able to think creatively, to discuss issues that affect us, but of course, discuss the products that we have in the market. How do we work with this? How do we create prices here, there, and what those things? Everyone is creative in their, in their rights or in their way, or on their rights or on their way, depending on which English you use. But creativity exists in every single one of us. And when we were in school, they said, any mistake in art is creativity. So we were always taught the same, and the products we have in the market is meant to solve the problem. But are we looking at it that way? Do we make things look that way, or do we think creatively in every process that we have? To discuss this today on the program is the one and only David Okwii. Is the founder and the shop manager of Odukar stores. We still don't understand why he called himself the shop manager, but perhaps today we are going to understand this on the show. David, welcome to the program. Here we spread love like this. You need to do it correct. Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Welcome to the program, David.
Thank you, Akela, for hosting me.
Great. And we want to start from a lighter note, David, by first of all knowing you. Who is David Okwii in a nutshell? Where do you come from? What are you? Are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan?
Yeah, first of all, I'll best describe myself as an internet entrepreneur. Yeah. That is as short as it can be. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I live and breathe the internet, and my livelihood solely comes from the internet. Yeah.
Wow. David, talking of the internet, living and breathing internet, growing up, where and which part of this country did you hail from?
So I grew up from Jinja, along the shores of the River Nile. Yes, just, you know where the new bridge is? Yeah. Yes, you know that industry there? Yes. Nightil.
Yes.
Did you use Nightil bedsheets?
All through, in even uniforms for high schools, we were used to wear Nightil. Yes,
yes. It's an incredible industry. So my dad used to work there. and I used to stay around the estate just close to the industry. And yeah, I think I went once to swim on the river, river banks.
Where the hydroelectricity is produced, David?
On this side.
To commit suicide?
No, it was on this side of the reservoir. You know
Yes.
where there is that lot of water.
Yes, yes.
So the water is kind of still, it doesn't move very fast. And so at the river banks, you can actually swim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking of that, if I'm watching you from, let's say, Dallas in the US or in the UK, from anywhere, and I don't know where these places are from, you know, take us through your ancestry, you know, where do you hail from, which part of the country do you come from, what the food they eat there, are they creative people, do they dig creatively or preserve food creatively, which part of this, what is your ancestry like, if you take us through it?
Maniteso, my dad is from Kumi, my mom is from Kapchora, around Sipi Falls. That side, yes.
You come from where there's beauty only. Yes.
Then I grew up in Jinja most of the time, studied in Jinja most of the time. Then in my later teens, I moved to Kampala. Yes.
Okay. So the people of Kumi, in the eastern part of the country, if we would put it for some of us who are from the outside countries. What food do they eat and how do they preserve food? Are they creative in this process? Do they
they're very creative.
What's the process like?
So Teso is a very dry place. That's the one thing that you need to understand. Yes, we have rains like the rest of the country, but for the most part, it's a dry place. So people have to come up with ways of preserving food through the dry season so that they are able to have food. They don't starve. Teso actually has one of the best food preservation methods out there in the country. The foods that we eat is cassava, potatoes, and these are perishables, you get. But we have a way of drying them and then, putting them in the granary and making sure that during the dry seasons, people still are able to have food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what is the history like behind the storage? I mean, somebody must have, of course, thought about the creative process of keeping the food for this longer period of time. I once was in Canada, and I realized that in Canada they preserve food for 6 months in the fridge during the cold season. 6 months in the fridge. Yeah. And that in Africa would be something else.
6 months in the fridge. Does the food taste good? I don't know.
Yes, everything is freezed. I mean, it's not really tasting good. So when we compare that creativity in France, I mean, in Canada and in many parts of the world to keep food, and in Teso, you know, the eastern part of Uganda, like you talked about, I just want to sort of like look at the creative processes, the wisdom of the elders. How did they come up with that, and how long will the food take when it's dried? For example, how long does it take? Can you package this food and sell? You know, how do you sort of like go about
so
this?
I don't stay much in the village, but I've been there for some long periods of time, and I've learned from like my parents and my uncles and stuff. So I'll talk mostly about cassava and potatoes. Have you heard of amukeke?
Yes.
You've had it? Eh?
Yes, I've actually eaten it. It's one of the best. I would call it Uganda's best plate for breakfast. Yes.
So for people who don't know, amukeke is dried potatoes. Yes, so they dry the potatoes, put them in the granary, and then you're able to, just take a few portions of the potatoes, then you boil them. And now when you boil them, put in a little bit of salt. You can also put in OD if you want. That is,
which is simsim paste.
Ginat or simsim paste, and then you take with chai mukalu. Wow. It's really the best breakfast.
Which is black tea. Yes. Wow, so these guys have just given us, so this is a creativity coming from Teso. I want to just take a moment to welcome everybody to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Odukar. This morning I'm talking to, or this afternoon, this night, or this evening, depending which part of the world you are, I'm talking to David Okwii, who is, an internet breather and eater, if you would say it in a nutshell, as he said it. Entrepreneur. As a man who think creatively using internet and creating stuff, and of course integration. Today in the program we want to discuss system integration. We're looking at the local content development. Everybody's talking about local content development. You've heard about local content development in oil and gas. But we're looking at local content development, focusing on creative system integration, on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, Bubu. We are talking about this. And David Okwii is the founder and the shop manager at Odukar Stores, which is an online platform. I would say is the Amazon of Uganda in the making, okay? And perhaps going to go Africa. We want to just understand this, David, from your point of view. Are you a creative mind? Do you look at yourself as a creative mind? Or what is creativity to you, first of all, to start with?
So I don't look at myself as a creative in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Of a designer or an artist or a painter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm creative, just like everybody else has to be creative. So to me, creativity speaks about using your imagination to solve problems. And that cuts across anyone, whether it is government or big corporations or small businesses or individuals, yeah, or families and stuff. Yeah. So it is really using your imagination to solve problems. That is creativity in a nutshell.
Yeah. Let me take you a little bit back, David. You know, growing up, you obviously went through a traditional, you know, educational system that we all go through in Uganda or in Africa, in most part of Africa.
Yeah.
But I want to just take you through a little bit. What is your background like?
In terms of education?
Yes.
I am an engineer by training or by education.
Yes. How did you become an engineer? Growing up, did you always see yourself as becoming one? How did you end up there?
I sort of gravitated more towards machines, objects, electronics and stuff. So naturally I leaned towards the engineering bit of it. I was fascinated by tech by the age of, let's say 12 years. And I grew up close to, like I said, my dad used to work in a textile industry, yeah, and sometimes I would have free tours to the factory. It's really huge. Like it is, I think, one of the biggest industries in East Africa.
Yeah.
So I would move around. It's like, I don't know, maybe 5 football pitches. Yeah. So you move around, you see machines doing lots of, you know, fancy things and all. So I was really fascinated from an early age to admire and to love engineering. Yes.
Okay. So if somebody is looking at you now, would want to think that, you know, that background shaped your way of becoming an engineer.
Yeah.
How did your parents look at it when you're growing up? Normally, parents are very fascinated with certain things they want their children to do, or a certain way they want their children to become. What was like with your parents, your mother and father, when you decided to gravitate toward maths, physics, and all these things?
Yeah. But my dad is an open-minded person. You literally just do whatever you want and whatever that you're really good at, and he's just there to pay the school fees.
You probably had the easiest, most, you know, adorable dad.
Yes.
Not like ours. Some of us were always told you have to be a certain thing in life, and if you're not, it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and some were caned. Some of us who were left-handed, our hands were tied on the neck so that we can become right-handed.
Wow.
Yeah, so there are quite a lot of things that goes in there.
Yeah.
So David, growing up as a creative person, from the way we looked at you, you were more leaned toward tech from a very young person age. Let's talk about, did you ever make wired cars in the pursuit of becoming an engineer and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, everyone in an estate that I grew up in, literally, the boys,
yes, and
the girls as well, they literally, everyone made their own toys using, you know, these wires. Yeah. So we'll go to, you know, these fences that are made from these wires. We'll screw that up, unscrew it, and then break the wires, and then use rubber. Tie it together, then use slippers, you know the slippers? Yes.
Cut the hole in the to make the tire.
Cut the hole, make the tire, and then there you go with your car. And they will really be strong. You could actually use them to fetch water, you know, using these 5-liter jerrycans.
Wow. So the creativity in Africa sprang from way back when we were children. The only thing is that our education system sort of like cut that off our head when we started going to nursery school and primary school and things changed. And some of us were never, good at becoming a creative person at some point, or some of us never made it. But the likes of Daudi Okwii, as we call him, have definitely been able to pursue that career and be where they are today. So David, we're talking about, you're on the creative industry talk, and we're talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. We defined creativity from your perspective, but I want to just ask you, to you typically, what is the process of a person being creative?
What is the process? The process starts with a problem.
Yeah.
Look at the problem that you're trying to solve, and then find ways of solving that problem in the most cost-effective way possible, using the materials, using the skills that you already possess. So if you're working with people, you have to organize people around you to come together to solve a common problem.
Okay. And when we talk about creativity from a point of creating a product, and or a brand or a product, you obviously have been into the process of creating one for yourself.
Yes. And
you have one in the process. Typically, take us through that. How do you start and where do you start from? Because everybody, we believe, is creative.
Yeah.
But the level of creativity varies. Some are very intuitive in their process. Others are very, slow in their process. Some people need a kickstart at the back, and you just kick them up and they start waking up and they start doing it by making life hard for them, like COVID-19 came and gave some of us a butt kick, and we're doing it.
Yeah.
And some just do it easily. But to you, did it come just naturally, easily?
Yeah, I like how you described it. There is no one way of reaching the creative path. It can be chaotic, it can be organized, it can be forced, it can be out of coercion and hard times. Can come from all angles. But I'll talk about the Odukar experience, literally, how we started the Odukar store and how we got here. We started right before lockdown in 2020, just when the coronavirus had started. At that time, online shopping was still something that was taking off. Some people would do online shopping, others wouldn't. But when the coronavirus came, we didn't start a Odukar store because of the coronavirus, but it found us. Yes, it found us right at the beginning of the incubation. But so how we started, how we approached the problem is that, okay, we realized there's a lockdown, there's a restriction in movement, people couldn't go through shops, and we decided to launch the store online mostly. We had a physical store, but we said let's concentrate online first. And then when you launch an online store, there are basically a number of things that you have to nail. You have to nail a way of people discovering you and finding you, because it is not like a store that people walk in and then find your products. You have to find a way of storing your goods. You have to find a way of delivering the product to the customer. You have to find a way of people paying you eventually. And then you have to find a way of managing customer relations or customer care. So we had all these facets, and we needed to bring them together and put them in a product or a service that could work in this market at that time. So COVID helped us in a way because it accelerated the trend towards online shopping. For the very first time, some people made an order online for the very first time. Not because they wanted.
Because COVID gave them a kick.
Because, as you said, the creative process, that kick, it forced them to make purchases online for the very first time. And when you do something for the very first time and it works, it becomes a part of you. You say, oh, okay, the thing actually works. And then before you know it, it becomes a lifestyle, becomes the norm, it becomes the new normal. You realize, this is how it should work. It should have been this way all along.
Wow.
So Yes, the hard times accelerated our creativity as well. And it helped us reach that goal. Yes, so we just had to play around with delivery, make sure that the product reaches the customer as early as possible, make sure that we had convenient payment methods. We had, you could either pay cash on delivery or you could use mobile money. So we had very flexible payment methods that were convenient to the customer. We were not rigid at all. So yeah, that's how it worked for Odukar.
Wow. Well, you're hearing David Okwii right here on the Creative Industry Talk. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will dive into the discussion of, local content development, focusing on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. David will define that, his understanding of that a little bit, but then we dive into our main discussion today, which is system integration. He's talked about mobile money and his system and how it works and how they started. We want to know, how do you integrate all of these things together, and how can we, the creative people who create products like David, begin to use the system and integrate the system to be able to, sell products without you having to go there should coronavirus continue, should we go into another lockdown, how do you deal with it? Stay right there, I'll be right back after the break. This is Creative Industry Talk. Eddie Okila, David Okwii, we'll be right back after the break.
My name is David Okwii, and I'm the shop manager here at Odukar. Our vision is really to bring technology closer to the people, closer to you, tech that you can afford, tech that lasts, tech that is durable, and tech that you can use to simplify your life. My inspiration behind starting Odukar came from the fact that I've been blogging or writing about tech for the past 10 years, but the stuff that I've been writing about has not been locally available in the market. So what we did is, let's bring this technology to the people. So we really had to start a store, an actual store that you can order today and then have the product delivered to you tomorrow. So currently we launched with mobile accessories. Think a car phone charger, car phone mount, iPhone charger, micro USB, Type-C, charging accessories like this power extension here with 4 ports that you can use to charge your phone, as well as the other ports for appliances. We test our products and make sure that they're up to standard. We vet our suppliers. We don't just get any supplier. Other than the fact that COVID-19 has forced you to sell online, there are very many advantages why you should do that. One of the advantages is the convenience that you're bringing to your customers. 2 is that you have a wide market that expands beyond your working clients. We intend to grow, to bring more tech, to bring tech to the everyday user out there, and to bring really good tech. In order to do that, we intend to scale our product categories and to also cement our position as a leader in electronic products.
Engineered in the heart of the pearl, one face, 4 perspectives, embracing a hip, urban and dynamic community, keeping dibs on the constantly evolving African scene, fanning the hottest talent in Uganda and beyond, inspiring beautiful minds across the world, literally changing the game on television. This is XXL TV Show Season 4. Go big or go home. Otherwise, be inspired.
This is XXL Season 4. Mr. William Pike is on the show today to talk about the book that I think is the greatest book so far.
In the book, there's a story of how when I moved to Uganda, which was in, I think, June 1986. So I'd been covering the Bush War before then. I don't know if viewers have seen the picture of Museveni standing in tall grass with an AK-47 on his shoulder, strap on his shoulder and a t-shirt.
Witness Junction would love to thank you for your continued support and patience during these trying times. With the ongoing pandemic, we have come up with different standards of operation that can keep you safe and keep us safe. Come have a quick tour with me.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They have moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
When we start the Bayimba Festival, or starting Bayimba in general, for me it took me like 3 years of thought, of thinking. And as I went to Chitobero, I went to Chigunda, I traveled around East Africa. And one of the reasons actually, which I rarely talk about, was when I was traveling around Lake Victoria. I was doing a documentary about the lives of the people who live around the LVB, the Lake Victoria Basin. Yes. I went to Kisumu, I went to Mwanza, and I realized actually all these people have so much in common, but they know little about each other. Yeah. yet they are all surviving on this same lake.
Yes.
So for me, it was very interesting. It kind of also brought back, like, the arts are the same. The arts were the same because we realized that we are all feeding onto each other. The musicians, the theater, the dance, the painters, and the writers. But we all had our own ways. We were separate. Everyone is doing their own thing. And I think bringing them together in one place was a creative process to kind of cultivate that space that was missing. So I think this is, for me, where I could see the processes of really going through the idea, understanding it, convincing yourself, finding the value, finding the strategic, the impact it's going to create, add on to the industry. And also when, like at Bayimba, when we are going through our creative processes of thinking about strategically what are we going to do, it takes quite some time when you have conversations with your staff, your colleague, the sector. Sometimes we ask people questions 1 month after the other, and sometimes I feel, so I'm like, okay, and they're going to feel like Bayimba is asking us too much, But I think it's important for us because we need to understand why are we doing what we're doing? How are we going to improve? And how can we do better? Where did we go wrong? And of course, sometimes you get some, advice, which is not, liked, but at the same time, it's good for you to hear it from the people that you're serving. So that process for me, it's important. And to be innovative at the end of the day, you have to be impactful. You have the product has to be useful to the people that it's going to serve.
Okay. Faisal, fear is the greatest enemy of innovation.
Yeah.
And quite often, most people start the thinking to create something. The innovation of, I want to innovate something, they think I want to innovate this kind of solution. And most times, somebody asks and says, do you have the money to start this thing? Do you know this takes a lot of money to do this? And before we know it, we shelve the idea and we don't do something about it.
Yeah.
How do we overcome that, given your experience from going around the Lake Victoria basins in 3 years of trying to create Bayimba, and who was, by the way, funding you? Because that's another problem that we often have. The fear of not having the money will kill the innovation. You can stay with something which is very good for so long just because you don't have the money, or you don't know how to go about it, or you fear you will fail.
Yeah, I think I'm a student of failure, and I think it's very important as innovators to study failure because it's a very good beginning of building courage.
Okay.
If you don't fail, then you can't be stronger. And people can tell you that the first Bayimba was a failure, and it was a big lesson for me.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Odukar. In the studio is David Okwii, the founder and the shop manager at Odukar Stores, an online, stores in Uganda that is selling electronic products. And of course, on the show today to discuss Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. We are focusing on local content production, but we're gonna gear our our discussion towards, system integration. You've heard from David, how they've created the Odukar and how they were able to sell things online, and some Ugandans being able to order things for the first time online. And if you're one of those, we want to hear from you. What was your experience like? Share it with us far and wide. We'd like to hear from you. David, welcome back to the program. I want to just take a moment to read some comments from some people here, David, that has come in the middle of the show. We just want to hear from them and what are they saying. I'll start first with a gentleman here and says, that's my OB from Nameliango. David Okwii has always been a young man who is creating things and trying things. Thanks, kudos, David. And I have another one here saying, Odukar, thank you very much for bringing David Okwii to the show. He's always been a very creative mind. He's a brilliant mind in the IT world. I think we need to harness people like David on that, topic of system integration. I want to ask David, how did you start creating your own product? and bring your own product out. How did it work? I know you've shared a bit about it, but it's not easy, man, trying something new. David, you've had that coming out there for you. And another person says, Eddie Killer, thank you very much for the program. I would like to know how Ugandans are using technology to harness the new normal of COVID-19 going forward. I know you talked about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, but sometimes Ugandans' content, rather products, are so weak that when you put them, when you see them on the shelf versus the one that is brought from China, you better not going for the one from China. I think, David, we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course, how we're talking about it. That basically launches us to our discussion today, David.
Yeah.
Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. We've been talking about this, and everybody's talking about local content. In the oil and gas, they're talking about local content.
Right.
Now, what is local content development to you?
Okay. So I'll start with a quote, or somebody said that Africa is the only continent that produces what it doesn't consume and consumes what it doesn't produce.
Yes.
There's truth in it, actually. And that is what we want to change, or what we should change with Bubo. In essence, we should be consuming what we produce and produce what we consume, not the other way around. You don't produce stuff, send it to China, China, creates a product out of it and sells back to you, and you're not really creating enough value out of your raw materials, right? Yes. So with Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, you're literally saying, okay, can we consume what we produce for the very first time? What that does is that you create enough value for everyone in the economy, and you create a lot of opportunities and prosperity for everyone.
Wow. Wow, but you heard it from David. And David, we want to just, just a moment to tell everybody, if you're having a problem with your internet, streaming on Facebook or go to our website, www.houseoftalentuganda.com, or go to our YouTube, House of Talent TV, and you'll be able to have no problem at all as the government of Uganda continue to negotiate its way with Facebook. Sometimes it can be very disturbing. So for all of you guys, we're live on Facebook, on Twitter. We're live on our own website, okay, www.houseoftalentug.com, or you go to YouTube, subscribe, share it far and wide. David, that's a nice description of that. So when we're talking about local content, Buy Uganda and Build Uganda, do you think that we have been able to, Ugandans understand this, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda?
Yeah.
Do they understand? And if yes, to what extent?
So there are two different Ugandans in this spectrum here. You have the consumers and then you have the producers, and both of them need each other, and they need to understand this concept for this thing to work. If I'm a producer and I'm creating stuff and there is no one who is consuming, then it doesn't make sense at all. And the other way around, if I'm a consumer buying things from outside and not buying the stuff that the producers in the economy are creating, then it doesn't make sense. So it is two sides of the same seesaw that needs to work together in order to make this really work.
Okay. And we've had people from the Ministry of Trade talk about this. But there's also an outcry out there, like you've had somebody already asking you a question, saying that it's nice to talk about Ugandan local content, but he's saying that when you look at a Ugandan local content on the shelf versus the product brought from Kenya, he would go for the one from Kenya. He said the one in Uganda is not very enticing. Which takes us to branding and product development and communication, which a discussion we've set to have with an expert coming in at some point into the program as we progress in discussion of the local content. But specifically, how were you able to package your product, locally made here, package your product and be able to sell to people, even though some of them are imported products?
Yeah, so to respond to that user, that's a consumer right there, saying that, yes, I want to buy your stuff that, people in the economy are producing, but they don't live up to my standards. They don't live up to my expectations. And since we are living in a free market economy where people are willing to, pay with willingly with their money, they are, they're just going to sidestep your product and they're going to buy the product that they think fits their standards.
Yeah.
So again, once again, it goes back to both the consumer and the producer. The producer has to meet up to the standards of the consumer.
Yeah.
So if the consumer wants, let's say, this coffee up to a certain standard, if that coffee doesn't meet my standard, I'm not going to buy it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you're putting your hard-earned money and your time and whatnot, but it doesn't meet my standard. And since we are living in a free market economy where no one is coerced to buy a certain product, then you're going to lose out. So the producers have to meet that standard that the consumers are expecting at the price that they want it.
Wow. David, I want to read something coming in for you. Somebody has said, Eddie Okila, thank you very much for the program. I like what David Okwii is talking about, but I want to know, when I go to Odukar stores, the branding looks really deep, and most people in Uganda, when they create products, they spend a lot more time in creating the products and not the look and feel of the product. How was he able to, come up with that mindset to create something that looks like this? It's not a typical Ugandan website where you go there and the branding is looking so weird and not good. Perhaps a lesson can be picked from David Okwii. What did he live abroad, or was he working with some people abroad, or the website is basically designed abroad? That's the question there for you, David. Yes.
No. The website is designed and developed strictly from Uganda by Ugandans. I'm actually part of the team, the developers. But I think you had Jeremy Banyanzi here. Yes, we were saying about branding and all that. And I liked his talk. And basically it boils down to a brand is your promise. What are you promising the customer, right? And can you live up to that promise? That's what it is. It is, brand is who you are. It speaks a lot about you as an individual first and foremost, and what you're bringing out to the market. Yes, when you look at for example, the House of Talent branding, which I absolutely love and adore, it's delivering a certain promise, it's delivering a certain message, and it's saying we are here and we are all about local content, we are all about local talent, and we are here to develop really great content that is informative, that is there to build the country and the nation. That is what a brand is, more than the colors and all these cosmetics that come to augment that brand. Yes.
Well, we're talking to David Okwii, and you're on the Creative Industry Talk. We're discussing local content development. Of course, it's a broad topic. Everybody is talking about local content development. But products out of Uganda, locally we are creating these products. Who is consuming them? Can they stand the test of time? Do they have the value? Can we export this product going forward? That's what we're talking about. We want to dive more deep into this topic with David Okwii, talking about system and e-commerce and system integration. David, a lot of times we've discussed so many things about e-commerce. COVID-19, of course, came and opened up the door for this to work in Uganda.
Right.
We were forcefully taken into a lockdown, and somehow the president kept saying, use borders to buy things, buy vegetables from there. And it started to work out slowly, deliveries are there and there. But the downsides of some of these things that we're talking about was ability for the money to move from one end to the next. There are times when the mobile money system is completely down. You send your money, and then the mobile telecom guys tells you, you call customer care service, we will work on this thing in 24 hours. You have food, you need food, and this deliverer or the producer of the product is not going to deliver the product to you because you need food, you're in the lockdown, and you're being told 48 hours. It brings a question to mind, David. What is e-commerce? Is it understood in the African context, for example? In Europe we understand, but in Africa, is it understood? And let's zero down to Uganda.
Yeah, we have to contextualize it. The way that Amazon works is not going to be the way, it will never work in Uganda here, because you have certain infrastructure that allows for Amazon to work in the US or in Europe. You have the postal, the post office system, you have the good housing structure with plot numbers, and you have a delivery system, logistics network already built in there. You have a payment method powered by Visa and credit card. There is a whole infrastructure that has already been laid for hundreds of years, way before Amazon even, came into the market.
Yeah.
And for us, we have managed to leapfrog some of those things. For example, we don't have a telephone system. Do you have a telephone at home? The landline.
Yes, yes. Which is wireless. It's chargeable. It can go off.
Yeah.
The traditional one we had with UTL is no longer working as it used to be. Yes.
So we leapfrogged the telephone system as we know it to mobile phones. Yeah. It does the same thing. It's all about communication. Excuse me. It does exactly the same thing. So here we have borders which are really agile and fast. They can cut through jam, and they know the local places and all that. In Europe, you probably have vans and all trucks,
even
and
riders themselves. Yes, yes.
Exactly. So we have different sorts of infrastructure, and we have to find ways that we have to design systems that work with the existing infrastructure. Yes, and that is what e-commerce or Odukar is trying to do and adapt. Where we don't have payment system like Visa, can we use alternative payment methods that the customer can still use, right? And we have actually seen a lot of progress and success in adoption of, say, cash on delivery and mobile money on delivery. Yes. So somebody is not going to pay upfront on mobile money, but they're going to wait until the delivery guy comes, and then they pay using mobile money. Then you ask yourself, why did they pay
earlier before using mobile money? Yes.
On the website?
Yeah.
But this is the economy. This is your customer. The customers prefer that they see the product or the package. You have arrived. Okay, now let me pay. Okay. Because trust isn't yet built for online businesses. There are a lot of shady guys out there. They can fleece you. They can, run away with your money. What are you going to do? And it has happened. So people are skeptical. The trust system is still built in, and stores like Odukar are coming up to rebuild that trust and say, okay, you can trust us. You can order and pay online, and then your order will come. Yeah. Yes. So those are some of the things that we are trying to do in the market. Yeah.
David, there has been a very serious issue here in the market before. In fact, it's an ongoing challenge as we speak right now. The banking system versus the mobile system.
Yeah.
Somehow COVID-19 came in and people were not working, and a lot of people were not earning.
Yeah.
But already it was a problem that was brewing there.
Yeah.
That the economy started slowing down because of politics and elections and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's been going on for some time.
Yeah.
People started to, high taxation started to make people keep money in their bedrooms or in their, under their beds.
Yeah.
Or some in a box. And then of course the high rate of corruption in the public system
have
also, sort of like made it difficult for people to put money in the bank.
Yeah.
Now, there's a time when people are not putting money in the bank. There's a time when you put your money in the bank, and then when you want to use your money, they make it very difficult for you to use the money.
Yeah.
And then there's a time when you have money, you want to bank it.
Yeah.
And then the banking system using mobile money you have on mobile money to put in the bank is also giving you a time. So people get frustrated. And you know what? Let me just keep my money, because why am I struggling with this? When I put my money in the account, they make life difficult for me to get it. When I finally give them my money, they make life difficult for me. May I just keep my money there?
Yeah.
This has been going on for some time.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for a customer who is trying to buy goods and services, online.
Yeah.
You have been a system developer and an IT person and a software developer. We want to know from you, if I am a creative mind and I've created a product, say for example, Okila Health and Services, my service is about making people fit, health and fit, and I want to be able to record a video and send it to that person.
Yeah.
And when the lockdown, somebody is in Nigeria, just want to pay.
Yeah.
That's another discussion altogether. The world doesn't trust a Nigerian visa and all this stuff. You talked about trust issues.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for me. How do we build trust and continue to build a system that is more harmonious in a way that I can bank my money easily, I can use my money as and when I want,
Yeah.
I can buy goods and services as I want, because what you've talked about there is basically typically come back to this frustrations around the systems. How do we make this work?
So I'll start by saying that money is just information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we say, when the bank says, when you go into your bank account and you see maybe 50M, right? It's not like the bank has your 50M, a stack of cash, 50M somewhere in the corner. That's not what it is. It's just information. It's just saying we owe you 50M. That is all. Probably that money has already been lent.
Yeah, but I'm a border man. I've taken my sack. I have given you my money on the sack in there.
That the bank is going to lend it to somebody else. It's never going to stay in the bank at all. Money is information. It's just digits, right, in a database in the banking system that says, well, we owe Eddie Okila 50M, and we should be able to give it to him whenever he wants. So when you go and withdraw that money, you're basically just liquidating, you're converting those digits into hard cash. If at all you want the hard cash, if you're paying for something online or at the counter, we are just converting, we're just transferring those digits from one system to another. So the most flexible system should actually be money, because it's just digits, it's just information. Ironically, it's not. It's very hard to move money, probably for a lot of reasons, money laundering, trust issues, regulation, and all that. But again, this is where creativity comes in. The banks need to be creative around how can we make money fluid. It should flow freely like information. You know, when you go to your Twitter stream and you see, you know, the feed flowing with content and news and images and all that, it should really be fluid, because money is just information. It's just digits. That is all. Of recent, we've seen the emergence of agent banking, which has sort of improved and made the processes a lot more faster. Yes, the banking system is built on a very rigid and expensive system or setup. You know, a banking hall has all these sophistications built in, the design of the banking hall, the security, the tellers, the what. And whenever a bank is going to open up a branch in a certain location, there's a lot of investment that has to go in before they do. So they do the math and maybe they don't open a branch somewhere or not. So agent banking reduces all those costs associated with opening up a branch in a particular location. Yes, and it uses agents or people that have a stripped down version of a bank in locations that are closer and more convenient to people. Mostly to, I would say, liquidate money. When you need to go to the bank, you want to withdraw to have the hard cash. Yes. Otherwise, if money is left to be solely digital, then you probably don't need a banking hall at all. If you want to pay for something, that can be done digitally or electronically. If you want to, I don't know what is money used for. It's basically for paying for goods and services, right? And that is just a matter of, you know, deducting your bank account and crediting my bank account. And that can be done electronically.
You make it look sound easy, David, but
that's what it is.
But it's not as easy as that, because sometimes I know you've talked about the agent banking. And the agent banking has come in this era and time. But people are not trusting. You know, in some incidents in Kenya, we've had the agent bank being attacked and being robbed. and the process money is lost. And this in Kenya has happened before.
Yeah.
It's stabilized. It's more stable in Kenya than it is in Uganda.
Yeah.
In Uganda, it's just beginning to take effect. Some of this creativity we're talking about in the financial sector.
Yeah.
In Tanzania, it's almost the same. In East Africa, it's almost the same. But there's this old fear that, what if my money I give to David, who is an agent banker, and he doesn't get there? What sort of system does the bank and the agent banking person have that sort of like give me security that that thing you're talking about digitally, if it punches like this and I give 10 million to the agent banker, and how quickly is this money going to, how quickly is this, what kind of system do they have to this money to reflect on my bank account, so that when I log on to whatever app I have for banking system, I'm able to see money immediately?
Right.
What kind of system that we should be looking into to sort of like build our neutralize our fear?
All right. So I'm not a banker, I'm not in the banking system, but this is what I know. Before you probably become a banking agent, you will have to go through a verification process. You'll have to send in the paperwork. Maybe you have to be registered, your national ID, you know, things that prove that you are an authentic person, you are a citizen, and you do legitimate business. So before you sign up to being an agent, you're going to have to go through that verification. Then number two, during transactions themselves, when I go and deposit money to an agent, to a banking agent, I'm going to get a receipt, number one, and then number two, I'm going to get an SMS on my phone that says, okay, this transaction has been validated, it has been authenticated, money is in your account. And then you as an individual, before you leave, you probably have your banking app there. You can go and check your bank balance and verify that yes, money is now deposited on your account. So these are all checks and balances that the banks and their agents can implement to make sure that, you know, they earn trust from the customers that, you know, this system works and that their money is secure. That is really very important.
David, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will be discussing one thing. In fact, 4 questions which we're going to be discussing to wrap up this. It's going to be about system integration, but we're talking to David Okwii, the founder and the shop manager at Odukar Stores, an online platform in Uganda that started a few years ago and is building, and people are able to buy electronic gadgets from there online, seeing that they order and is delivered to them. It's something that is new, something that is working. It's a local content created in Uganda to make life easier for you to order electronics, genuine electronic stuff. Of course, you can go and check them out on odukar.stores.com. You'll be able to find a lot more information from there. And of course, we're talking about local content development in Uganda, focusing our discussion on, system integration. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. System integration. What does it mean to say buy Uganda and build Uganda? And how do we integrate system to be able to make sure that some of the things we're talking about is actually feasible, is working, and it's consumable for a consumer out there, but also it's usable for a producer out there of the product. Stay right there, I'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Eddie Okila, David Okwii. We'll be right back after the break.
My name is David Okwii, and I'm the shop manager here at Odukar. Our vision is really to bring technology closer to the people, closer to you, tech that you can afford, tech that lasts, tech that is durable, and tech that you can use to simplify your life. My inspiration behind starting Odukar came from the fact that I've been blogging or writing about tech for the past 10 years, but the stuff that I've been writing about has not been locally available in the market. So what we did is, let's bring this technology to the people. So we really had to start a store, an actual store that you can order today and then have the product delivered to you tomorrow. So currently we launched with mobile accessories. Think a car phone charger, car phone mount, iPhone charger, micro USB, Type-C, charging accessories like this power extension here with 4 ports that you can use to charge your phone, as well as the other ports for appliances. We test our products and make sure that they're up to standard. We vet our suppliers. We don't just get any supplier. Other than the fact that COVID-19 has forced you to sell online, there are very many advantages why you should do that. One of the advantages is the convenience that you're bringing to your customers. Two is that you have a wide market that expands beyond your working clients. We intend to grow, to bring more tech, to bring tech to the everyday user out there, and to bring really good tech. In order to do that, we intend to scale our product categories and to also cement our position as a leader in electronic products.
Fitness Junction would love to thank you for your continued support and patience during these trying times. With the ongoing pandemic, we have come up with different standards of operation that can keep you safe and keep us safe. Come have a quick tour with me.
Welcome back to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Okwii, and this is House of Talent Television. You officially logged on to. Go to our website, www.houseoftalentuganda, and hook yourself up with this broadcast. You will be very amazed. And of course, we are live on YouTube, House of Talent TV. Go there, subscribe, share it far and wide to your grandmother, grandfather, sisters, cousins, everybody in the family. Make sure that they are in sync with this digital era discussion that we're having right now with David Okwii. David Okwii, welcome back to the program. He is the founder and the chief everything, as they like to say, of odukarstores.com. David, welcome back to the program. I just want to take you down to some of the questions that came in there. Somebody says, Okwii, thank you very much for this discussion. Enjoying the discussion, is watching from Mukono, and he says that I want to ask that gentleman, he's talked about the banking system, he's talked about the system development. What is the process involved in creating an app if I have a restaurant and I want my restaurant to go far and wide so that people can order food from my app so I can have control? That's something that you'll have to talk about. You're a software developer, and people want to know how that works. And it says, Okwii, thank you very much for bringing David Okwii to the program. Again, I want to know from that gentleman, if I have, if I have a business like mine, I think he does. He's Adobe. He cleans clothes, and he says, if I have a business like mine, Adobe, and I want to have an app which tells people that I clean clothes, and you can bring your clothes to me, and I can send borders or whatever to drop it and pick it. How much does it cost? It looks like it's so much money according to him. I mean, again, this is something we talked about it. Welcome back, guys. We want to talk about system integration, and I think that what it is plugged in very well. You've talked about buying stuff online, paying stuff online. Now, of course, we still have challenges, but there are a lot of systems created. The banking system has a system that they use. The mobile telecom communication companies have a system that they use. How can this system be integrated together so that we're able to sort of like be able to pay for goods and services seamlessly without having a problem?
Right.
If I need something from here, and then the creative industry TV talk is all about solution for this. And I want to just make people understand that, creativity in business is a nifty way of thinking, all right? And that's always inspires the person, challenges the person to think beyond, and helps people to find innovative and creative ideas of solutions for their problems. Like you've talked about, you are an engineer. Engineering is about finding problems and solving problems. On that note, David, what is creativity in system integration to you? For example, I want to just look at payment for goods and services in Uganda. From your perspective, how can this be integrated?
Yes. Thank you very much. That's a good question. It all starts from, yes, it starts with a problem, but it also involves the customer, the user, the person who is ultimately going to use these systems. Yeah. You can build the most sophisticated system out there, but if the customer is not integral into the design of the system, then it won't work. I think it's called user design,
Yes, I mean, human-centered design.
Thank you.
Yes.
Human-centered design, yes. So the user has to be at the center of the design of the problem that you're trying to solve. Yeah. And so that when you solve it, the user is the first to adapt it and use it. Yeah. Yes. So it begins from there. Now, about all these payment systems and how they should be integrated, we need to think about the customer. How do they work? How do they live? And then how do they pay for goods and services? So when I go to the market to buy groceries, right? I'm buying maybe tomatoes, milk, whatnot. How am I paying for those goods and services? How much do I have? How much am I willing to spend? All those are, and then how fast do I want it to happen? So the thing about cash is that, one, it is really fast. So if you have tomatoes of 1,000, I'm just going to pull out 1,000 shillings and give it to you.
Yes.
And then I have my tomatoes. Yes. That is in a split of a second.
Yeah.
Now, you come up and say, no, let's get that out of the way. We have a better solution here. We're just going to give you a POS machine, and then when a customer comes there, card, they are going
By
to...
POS, you mean point of sale?
Yes, yes, yes. And then they are going to, you know, swipe their card and then going to pay. The question is it going to be as fast as the system that I already use? Is it going to be similar or even better than the system that I'm already used to? Is it going to be faster than that cash system that I'm, you know, used to? So that's the question. If it is not, people are going to shun it. They're not going to use it because cash is fast. It's the system that, the thing that I've been using has been working. As the old saying goes, if it is not broken, then, you know, don't try to fix it. Yeah. Yes, it's the same thing.
Wow. David, that's a good answer there. I hope people are actually taking note of that. We're talking about system integration in this whole thing about content creation, product development, buy Uganda, build Uganda. If you have a very good product, but your payment system is so weak, I can't use mobile money to pay you, or the mobile money network I'm using, things like AfriCell, who are now running away from the market, are not able to deliver, you know, the network for me to pay the other side. It's a problem for me, it's a frustration for a customer, and they'll have a problem. That said, David, what are the 5 creative system integration, in bracket, cooperation methods for local products to adapt at this, you know, stage of COVID-19 situation that we're in? What 5, you know, nuggets or or whatever we call it in Africa, can you give us that we can look into and say, okay, integrative, I mean creatively, this system can be integrated from this point to this point to this point to make this? I'm a local producer. I want to know what to do.
Okay, so at the core of it all is that you have to adapt.
Yes.
Right. So, for example, now during COVID-19, we know that most people are working from home.
Yes.
And working from home means Zoom calls and all that. Zoom calls, people attending meetings, and if I'm attending a meeting and I'm in a Zoom call, then I'm probably not going to put on a suit. I'm not going to need certain clothing that I previously needed for physical meetings in corporate offices and all that. So if I'm a boutique that has been selling suits, do you think that will work in the COVID era? Probably not, because now people are not wearing suits anymore for their meetings. They are you probably have to think about something that is well suited for that particular, for the change that has happened. Yes, the same thing when we look at telcos. For example, voice was a big deal, but now when work from home started, there's a huge demand in internet. Everybody needed internet for attending meetings, for, you know, attending school, online learning, and all that. But you know what happened? The telcos didn't deliver, and they didn't quickly adapt to the change that required them to be relevant and satisfactory to their customers. You know, internet became very slow. You know, your Zoom call was cutting all the time, and people were very frustrated because now the thing that they needed for the time was not able to adapt to the change that had happened. So you need to adapt to the change that has happened. If you fail to adapt to the change, then you're going to be booted out of the market.
Okay. What would be the second creative way? You've talked about the first one being adapt and being able to quickly switch from what was traditionally there to what is right now that we're using, which, of course, some people are still putting on their boxers and putting on their suit and sitting in their room and doing their things because that is what the meeting requires, and then they go from there. Yes, so we ask you about the question of 5 creative system integration ways and methods that local production can use to move forward. You've talked about one, adaptation. All right, adapt to the new things. And the second one, you've talked about being able to see that this product is no longer being good or needed. What can I bring in? Kitenge, shirt, what do I give these guys that I can just throw in quickly and do the thing? Maybe the third and the fourth?
Maybe the second I'll say is that empathize, which is literally put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Yes, COVID has happened. You know, people are losing their jobs. You are a landlord. You're demanding 5 months in advance of rent. Does that make sense? You get? So you have to put yourself in the shoes of the customer and ask yourself, if I was in this position, how would I respond? How would I need to be treated? You know, we saw hospitals charging ridiculous amounts of fees to patients in very, very hard times. You know, they were not empathizing, they were not putting themselves in the shoes of their customers. Yes. So put yourself in the shoes of the customers and ask yourself, if it were me, how would I respond to that particular situation?
Yeah.
Yes.
And one more, David, on that system integration, the creative ways. A lot of vegetable sellers around the time of COVID, and still is going on, were not able to, you know, deliver goods and services. While because the mobile system of money, the agents didn't have money.
Right.
The banks were closed.
Right.
We're not able to put in the physical cash.
Right.
To be able to pay for the system, to be able to pay for the goods.
Yes.
And at the same time, the banks are closed. I can't go and get money.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck. And then the network was down. How can we make this system work together? That's what we're talking about, the creative system integration that allows for this system to work together, so that at no particular time should I be stuck.
Yeah.
In trying to access goods and services,
right.
Or a local product, because it was easier for me to pay for a product coming from abroad and perhaps DHL would deliver it than the one locally here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very difficult.
Yeah. So you need to be flexible. You need to think on your feet and say, okay, the situation has changed. This is what we are dealing with right now. How can I handle it? I need the customer's money, and I need to stay afloat in business. How can I achieve my end goal, right? So for example, I'll give you an example at Odukar stores. We had a physical store in Tinda, but during COVID, because of lockdown and all that, the physical store became redundant. But we're paying rent. In other words, they're just paying rent for free to the landlord, right? About 90. Close the physical store for the time being and save that money and probably put it into something else for the business.
Yeah.
Yes, so you have to be flexible and find ways to adapt to the current situation, while achieving the end goal, which is surviving and staying in business.
Yes. All right. We're listening to the close. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Eddie Okila, David Okwii. We're discussing local content development. How do you start a product? How do you, a case of Odukar store, and the founder is here. David Okwii is also the shop manager. People think that you're going to have to throw a little bit more light on the, starting an online, shop, and then you being a shop manager. People think that being a shop manager is just show up in Casa Cafero or whatever, somewhere in Tinder, and then just sit there and you call yourself, I'm a shop manager. But now when you say I'm a shop manager online, they don't understand it. They're probably wondering, this guy must be crazy. There's no shop, it's virtually, nothing is there. But at the back end of this thing, David, there is goods and services in the store somewhere.
Yeah.
And it requires the person to be there to make sure it works.
Yeah.
On that note, before you answer that, I want to give you this question as well.
Yeah.
So, what is the forecast of creative system integration? From an architecture, point of view to make things work, and to come up, make things work so that a common person, like I've asked you the question, can understand.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about shop manager Odukar.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
And then people like Ron Kawamaras, and I saw him this morning talking. People don't understand them because they are on the other end. They think that they don't understand the whole concept of being an online shop manager. How does it work?
When you're an online shop manager, you're exactly that, but you're a virtual shop manager, let's say, or a shopkeeper, actually. Yes, you're the same person. You're similar to that person who is waiting on the counter, waiting for customers, and fulfilling their orders. Except here, that the customer is not coming to the counter to you to hand you cash and then ask you questions and all that. No, here it is you're all physically separated by distance and space, and you're literally responding to the customer and communicating to the customer through different means. The virtual tools that we have today, which is the internet, you have the phone, you have WhatsApp, you have Twitter, you have Facebook. So as a shop manager, you're scanning all these channels and waiting for all these requests from customers and answering their questions. They come in and say, okay, do you guys have this charger? Or do you guys have this headphone? Do you guys have this phone, the kind of thing? And you're responding to them and saying, okay, this, we have it, it costs this much, and this is how we are able to deliver it to you. So it's exactly the same thing, except that you're scanning all these virtual platforms and sales channels, are responding to customer queries, and then fulfilling their orders using delivery and logistics mechanisms that are available on the market.
Okay. David, it sounds very interesting and intriguing at the same time. Were you guys also sleeping in the market during the lockdown, like the president said? That the shop owner should sleep. Were you guys also sleeping in the market like these guys in Nakasero? How was it going your end as shop managers at the time?
And so when you're running a virtual store, like Odukar, your warehouse or where you store your inventory is irrelevant to you and to the customer. It doesn't really matter where this inventory is stored. As long as it's in a secure place, it's in an easily accessible place for the person that is fulfilling that order. So that could be in your home, in your house. It could be in a rented warehouse where you pay a monthly fee to store this inventory. Yes, when an order comes in, you will have to have a mechanism of reaching out to that particular item that the customer has in the inventory or in the warehouse, and then sending it or dispatching it to the customer. Yes, so you have all these different tools, you have these different platforms that are existent right now. I think Jumia has something like that, fulfilled by Jumia. So you literally send your stock to the Jumia warehouse, and then when a customer comes in, makes an order, they're able to fulfill it on your behalf. You don't even have to do it by yourself. If you manage inventory by yourself, that inventory could be at home, or it could be in a store somewhere that is easily accessible, and when an order comes in, you reach out to that warehouse or that store, and then you send it off. Or it could be in a store that is owned by somebody else altogether, somewhere in town or wherever.
So in the spirit of system integration, we're talking about combining this system, because the border system has its own system that it operates on.
Yeah.
And Odukar has a system of people ordering stuff which you operate on, probably a lot of internet consumption and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a manual guy who just jump on the border, fuel the bike, and off he hits the road. How do you integrate these two systems together? When you order, Edio Killer, the border rider in Kamota is going to get to know it now, or you still have to make a phone call, and then Edio Killer has to go through some police checkpoints there, dodging things at 6 o'clock to get to you. At some point he's arrested, or he probably knocks somebody trying to run away from police, and he said, how do you integrate these things together?
Okay.
Your story makes sense.
So there are different layers here. There is your store, there is your warehouse, or there is the inventory, there is the ordering platform, which is your website, or it could be a marketplace like Jumia, Gigi, or your own website, or it could be on excuse me, on WhatsApp or your Facebook page or Twitter. Then there is the logistics network that can be managed by your own network of border guys. My border guy. Or it can be a third party like Safe Border. Safe Border has package delivery.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a whole layer in itself. So when an order comes in, you're able to dispatch it through the Safe Border package delivery system, and it works really, really well. So you need to look at all these different layers and say, am I going to manage the entire stack by myself? Meaning, am I going to manage the inventory, the warehouse, the delivery system, the payment system, the website, all that stuff? Is it going to be run by me, or am I going to have certain layers managed by me, and then other layers are managed by a different third party. You need to figure out which one to outsource and which one to manage by yourself.
So I have a question here, David. It says, somebody saying, Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing David Okwii on the show. I'm learning a thing or two from here. I have a shop in Tinder, and I sell second-hand clothes. I've been struggling getting clothes to my customers. But could you please ask David Okwii to shed more lights on how do I have a system. A friend of mine developed an app for me to sell clothes, and is working for me. So I can put Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter onto my app, and it gives me information in real time. However, I have a problem alerting a border guy. Every time I call, is either has no network, or is in a place where I can't get him, or he's riding. Is there a system, or how can we integrate the system I have so that when a customer places an order like this to buy a shirt or something, for example, I sell a lot of workout clothes, and during the lockdown, people were looking for them. It was difficult for me to deliver on time because my border guy is always late, so I had to switch between many borders to try and get deliveries. Yeah. Is there a system that I can just do, if a customer ordered, I can integrate into my system, and then the border guy gets a notification immediately, or I can have 5 borders get notification, 5 different locations, and each of them can pick depending on where the customer is. I would like to try something like that, like have a border in Muyenga, have a border in whatever, so that they know the location. Is there a system like that? How can I integrate this system? Okay. I think this is a very good question.
Yeah, so which I responded earlier. So he can use a third-party delivery network. SafeBorder has a very good one. I don't know if
does he have to sign with them?
No, he just has to have a SafeBorder account, that's all. And then anyone, literally, as long as you're a SafeBorder customer, you're able to dispatch a package anywhere around Kampala, and it's absolutely cheap, as long as you're within the radius of the
how do I start, David? I think the problem is that the information perhaps is not known to so many people on how to start.
Yeah.
Yes. If you can throw more light, yes.
Yeah, so...
borrowing from Odukar, of course.
Yeah. So if you can just sign up to SafeBorder, the same way that you can order for a ride on SafeBorder, there's a feature there for delivering a package. Yes, SafeBorder is it's just one of the very many other delivery platforms now available. But alternatively, he can also have his own network of border guys. Yes.
Which is what he's saying, how does he integrate? It's
going to be manual, but it's going to work. Absolutely. Yes. It's going to work really, really well. Yeah. And border guys, if you have a border guy or border guys, they are trusted. You know them, right? They are probably close to your area. They are around the neighborhood. Like, hey, Abdu Oliwa, you know, Ndiwano, Jangu. And then he comes, and Jagalon Twalireken order customer B, and then he comes and then he delivers to the customer. As long as you have an agreement with these guys, for my guys, I put them on retainers. That means that booked their time
every week. Yes.
Yes,
so you pay them
and maybe monthly, and they prioritize my calls. Yes. So when I call the guy, he's available. He's not going to give me stories.
So you've integrated them into your system.
Yes.
That's a system integration.
Yes. So I hook them up with a retainer, a small fee, and then I pay them per delivery, and they're absolutely happy.
So what happened, David, if, for example, this border guy you've integrated in your system, let's say he gets an accident and the package disappears, or is bitten, something happens, the package disappears. Who pays for it?
So those are some of the risks of the business that you need to factor into the system. Yes, and probably this is where micro insurance should be able to come in. Insurance companies need to think about a product or service in that area. Say, we can insure your small packages for a fixed amount, for a fixed premium, so that if there is an issue during the delivery of this product, then we can offset that loss on your behalf.
Yeah, because when I order something from online, normally there's an insurance until that thing gets to Entebbe or gets to DHL until it gets to me. If it gets lost on Amazon, I just click and say I did not receive my package.
Yeah.
And quite often they will just say, okay, fine, and we'll contact the store manager or the retailer, and then we will get back to you. And in no time, they ship another one to me. I don't quite get to understand, but that's the system integrated with insurance.
Yeah.
It's another discussion altogether because the insurance companies in Uganda don't seem to understand these things, and this is another different ballgame altogether. For example, I'm told that taxis are not insured by any insurance company in Uganda because the risk of them driving crazy and is apparently too high, and they break. But again, it goes back to you and what you're saying. Lastly, David, as we wind up the show, of course, what is the purpose of creative thinking system integration for local products and brands going forward?
The purpose is increase productivity and stay afloat in business and to grow. That is, the purpose of being creative. You want to stay afloat in business, you want to grow, you want to increase, you want to be relevant in the market. And every business, organization, company, government needs to have this system integration with creative thinking built in so that they're able to continuously deliver products and services to their customers. Yes, if it is government, if it is, we have a lot of potholes around the city, how can the authority, the city authority, come up with creative ways to solve some of those problems? Because those are, excuse me, those are problems that plague us every single day, and it takes creativity. Or creative thinking to come up with solutions to solve those problems. Companies need to continuously use creative thinking to respond to threats in the market, to challenges, to respond to competitors. Africell got booted out of the market. Why? Maybe they weren't really that creative enough. But previously, these are the guys who introduced all these social media bundles and cheap internet and all that. You remember back in the day? Very, very creative. What happened along the way? So you need to be continuously creative to respond to competitors, to respond to market threats, to be relevant to your customers, to be relevant to the citizens and to the people that you're there to build. We had a lot of issues during the second wave of the COVID, with hospitals, they were charging ridiculous amounts of money to do COVID care and patient management. Where was the creativity? It wasn't there. So these are some of the things that we need to think about.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, David Okwii. I think there was a last question which you have not answered here. How much does the app cost? You're an app developer. This is another problem altogether. People are downloading apps. In fact, this person says, Odukar, thank you very much. Just one more question before you go. Can you ask David Okwii how much does creating or making an app cost? In Uganda, we have too many technical people like David who are good people. But the problem is they are very good at talking. When you give them something to deliver, they don't deliver. So there is not typically any app that works in Uganda. Can you ask David, how much does it cost? And does it cost a ham and a leg? Will it cost my entire capital for the business, or I can get it? How can they make it easier for us to, sound really nice when David is talking?
Yeah, it really depends. WhatsApp was sold for $19 billion US. So how much did it cost building WhatsApp? How much did they put in? Yeah. So it really depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. The cost is very, very variable. We have apps that are really simple and intuitive to use. They really look very simple, very intuitive to use. Kanuka WhatsApp, how much really? Can it really cost 5M? But it's a huge system behind scenes. As you know, Facebook had to pay 19 billion for WhatsApp. As simple as it looks in your hands, but that's 19 billion.
Dollars, moreover.
Dollars, US dollars.
We're not talking about shillings.
Yes. So it goes back to your requirements, to your requirement as a client. What am I building and what am I trying to achieve? So if it is, you said it was a restaurant owner, the customer, they use the yes. It's an app to help you or to help your customers make orders to your restaurant. Maybe, you know, that is very narrow, and you can sit down with a developer and you come up with a fee. It heavily depends on your budget as a customer. I think you've seen these memes of customer expectation versus customer budget. So it heavily depends on your budget, and then the software developer is going to look into that budget and say, this is what we can come up with within your budget.
Okay.
Yes. So if you have a budget of let's say 2M, the software developer or the agency, the web agency or the app agency that does that is going to say, this is what we can do for you within this 2M budget. If it is 5M, this is what it is. And then the other thing that people maybe don't understand is that building software is not like building a house. A house, you come up with a plan and then you build it and forget you're living in it. Maybe do easy maintenance. With software, it is an ever-evolving system. It's like an organism that is continuously changing, because systems change. You know, you have Android, Google developing Android version this year, 10, then you have I don't know what. So it keeps on changing, and as a software developer, you have to keep on updating the system to adapt to those changes there. Yeah, so it is not build and forget. No, that app has to continuously receive updates in response to the software changes that have been made in the market. So you have to commit yourself, in other words.
To the process, the continuous process.
Yes, the continuous process of that development. If you have the budget, then well and good. My best advice would be, first look out for the options that are available on the market. You realize, like Facebook, for example, you can create a Facebook page for and then put your products there. WhatsApp has a WhatsApp shop. You can put your, you can create a catalog with your products, and you're good to go. You know, you have a shop, but the platform is literally developed by the existing Yeah, so that is zero cost on you. So decide, do you want to go with existing platforms, or do you want to develop something native from the ground up?
Wow. Yeah. Thank you very much, David, for coming. If you look into this camera, we just want you to give our viewers that one thing, takeaway you want to give them. What's the best advice you can give us as a takeaway from this interview today? Building local content development, by Uganda, build Uganda, and how do we integrate our traditional system or rudimentary system into a more sophisticated system that is, you know, globally recognizable or can use the global platform to going forward. If you would just, you know, shed light on it.
Thank you very much. So this has been a very great talk show with Eddie Okila here. I would say that first, when you think about Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, we live in a free market economy, so people are going to buy your products not because it is Ugandan. No, they're going to buy your product because they love the product, because there is value that they want to get out of that product. So make sure that you're building for the customer and that it meets the standard that the customer expects. Then the customer falls in love with the product and they're hooked. They're your customer forever. Now they happen to be Ugandan, you happen to be Ugandan. Eventually we are building Uganda. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is be creative in your business. Adapt to change. You know, look at all the changes. Ask yourself, what has changed in the past 5 years, or what has not changed in the past 5 years? That's also a very good question to ask, and then respond to that change or that thing that hasn't changed. You know, COVID has happened. There are a lot of things that have changed currently. People are now adapting to working remotely. You're a company, you're still asking people to come to the physical office 9 to 5. Maybe that needs to change. Maybe they need to come in a few days in a week, you know. Now you need to change your processes to allow for people to work from home, even past COVID. So these are the changes. Your customers, you still want them to come to the banking hall, maybe not. you know, probably they can do some of these things that you require them to come to the banking hall remotely through digital channels that are existent, like WhatsApp, like Facebook, or even your website, you know. We have House of Talent here, it's broadcasting, and it doesn't have all the traditional broadcasting infrastructure that a TV station traditionally has. But here you are, you know, watching us, and you're watching us through all these channels that we have thought about and we are using. Yes, so adapt to the change, look at the things that haven't changed. If they haven't changed, then you know, build your business accordingly. Yeah, so that is my little piece of advice, and I'm also happy to receive some of the advice that you already have.
Thank you very much, David, and for that, and thank you very much everybody for being part of the Creative Industry Talk Growing Bigger and Better today. We've been discussing, you know, local content development, focusing our discussion on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda as you know, a topic of discussion. And of course, David Okwii is the founder and the shop manager of Odukar stores. Is an online, you know, business built by Uganda, Build Uganda. All right. David, thank you very much for coming. We're gonna have to let this go and spread the love. And please, there's this thing you guys always do when I order for products online, and then you say it is this much. I see it very nice. Then I say, how much? I said, inbox me.
Inbox for price.
Yes, for price. That needs to stop, because
no,
it's
not
so if I talk about system integration,
yeah,
inbox me needs to stop, because it's we are out. Thank you very much, and until next time, Creative Industry, Eddie Killer, David Okwii signing out.
My name is David Okwii, and I'm the shop manager here at Odukar. Our vision is really to bring technology closer to the people, closer to you, tech that you can afford, tech that lasts, tech that is durable, and tech that you can use to simplify your life. My inspiration behind starting Odukar came from the fact that I've been blogging or writing about tech for the past 10 years, but the stuff that I've been writing about has not been locally available in the market. So what we did is, you know, let's bring this technology to the people. So we really had to start a store, an actual store that you can order today and then have the product delivered to you tomorrow. So currently we launched with mobile accessories. Think a car phone charger, car phone mount, iPhone charger, micro USB, Type-C, charging accessories like this power extension here with 4 ports that you can use to charge your phone, as well as the other ports for appliances. We test our products and make sure that they're up to standard. We vet our suppliers. We don't just get any supplier. Other than the fact that COVID-19 has forced you to sell online, there are very many advantages why you should do that. One of the advantages is the convenience that you're bringing to your customers. 2 is that you have a wide market that expands beyond your working clients. We intend to grow, to bring more tech, to bring tech to the everyday user out there, and to bring really good tech. In order to do that, we intend to scale our product categories and to also cement our position as a leader in electronic products.
Fitness Junction would love to thank you for your continued support and patience during these trying times. With the ongoing pandemic, we have come up with different standards of operation that can keep you safe and keep us safe. Come have a quick tour with me. Fitness Junction would love to thank you for your continued support and patience during these trying times. With the ongoing pandemic, we have come up with different standards of operation that can keep you safe and keep us safe. Come have a quick tour with me.
XXL Season 4. Mr. William Pike is on the show today to talk about the book that I think is the greatest book so far.
In the book, there's a story of how when I moved to Uganda, which was in, I think, June 1986. So I'd been covering the bush war before then. I don't know if viewers have seen the picture of Museveni standing in tall grass with an AK-47 on his shoulder, strap on his shoulder and a t-shirt.
Engineered in the heart of the pearl, one face, four perspectives, embracing a hip urban and dynamic community, keeping dibs on the constantly evolving African scene, fanning the hottest talent in Uganda and beyond, inspiring beautiful minds across the world, literally changing the game on television. This is XXL TV Show Season 4. Go big or go home. Otherwise, be inspired.
It is a creative industry talk. My name is Odukar and welcome to the program. This is House of Talent Television, where we bring you issues that affect the person, the common person every single day, and we discuss it, dissect, and find answers to it. The Creative Industry Talk is a program that brings together the creative brains, a platform for every one of us to be able to think creatively, to discuss issues that affect us, but of course, discuss the products that we have in the market. How do we work with this? How do we create prices here, there, and what, those things. Everyone is creative in their, in their rights or in their way, or on their rights or on their way, depending on which English you use. But creativity exists in every single one of us. And when we're in school, they said any mistake in art is creativity. So we were always taught the same, and the products we have in the market is meant to solve the problem. But are we looking at it that way? Do we make things look that way, or do we think creatively in every process that we have? To discuss this today on the program is the one and only David Okwii. Is the founder and the shop manager of Odukar stores. We still don't understand why he called himself the shop manager, but perhaps today we are going to understand this on the show. David, welcome to the program. Here we spread love like this. You need to do it correct. Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Welcome to the program, David.
Thank you, Kela, for hosting me.
Great. And we want to start from a lighter note, David, by first of all knowing you. Who is David Okwii in a nutshell? Where do you come from? What are you? Are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
Yeah, first of all, I'll best describe myself as an internet entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That is as short as it can be. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I live and breathe the internet, and my livelihood solely comes from the internet. Yeah.
Wow. David, talking of the internet, living and breathing internet, growing up, where and which part of this country do you hail from?
So I grew up from Jinja, along the shores of the River Nile. Yes, just you know where the new bridge is?
Yeah.
Yes, you know that industry there?
Yes.
Nighthall.
Yes.
Did you use Nighthall bedsheets?
All through, in even uniforms for high schools, we were used to wear Nighthall. Yes.
Yes, yes. It's an incredible industry. So my dad used to work there, and used to stay around the estate just close to the industry. And yeah, I think I went once to swim on the river, river banks.
Where the hydroelectricity is produced, David?
On this side.
To commit suicide?
No, it was on this side of
Yes.
the reservoir. You know where there is that lot of water.
Yes, yes.
So the water is kind of still, it doesn't move very fast. And so at the river banks, you can actually swim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking of that, if I'm watching you from, let's say, Dallas in the US or in the UK,